Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, because that's a little bit more accurate. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience K through 12 with low latent inhibition. Obviously, I won't be using the word low latent inhibition until it comes to the high school years. But when I'm younger, I'll be taught in elementary school. I'll be saying things like ADHD because all the stuff I was diagnosed with and all the being hyper aware or very curious or what I called very observant was most likely low latent inhibition stuff, starting from very early on. Kindergarten, yes. So normally when you are in a class with two teachers, that means that there's IEP in there and that it's like a slower paced class. I've been in a class like that since kindergarten. And I'm sure it doesn't really matter that much. I'm sure there's maybe some type of evaluations, but in my school, in my elementary school, there was definitely the more advanced class versus our class, which had IEP in it versus the very smart class, okay? And you mostly stayed in those classes, even in my middle school. It was like that. And I guess that tends to happen with schools that are smaller, that they definitely do place you in classes according to abilities, and probably most likely. um and in that doesn't mean it was a straight up slower paced class. It's just that the two teachers, they would take the kids that needed more help, and then there'd be the more advanced teacher of that class. So it's not like you're all slow or anything. um so yeah, I've been in that since I was in kindergarten. I was diagnosed with ADHD since before I was 3, and that's a story. Um, and I've always wondered, what could I have possibly been doing that other young 3-year-olds, other young kids were not doing. So that was always something. Um, and when I was younger, I always used to deny having ADHD. Obviously, I'd been taking Adderall since elementary school up until 7th grade. Um, yeah, and I stopped going to, and therefore I stopped seeing my psychiatrist when I stopped taking the medicine. So it was around 7th and 8th grade. And then I stopped going to therapy over quarantine when I was 15. I never needed that. So basically, a lot of my life, I was going to therapy and having a psychiatrist. And I always kind of denied having ADHD. I just didn't understand. And I've had a really bad experience with it. So when a lot of people are like, "Oh, ADHD is so quirky," it's never been a good experience for me having to take the pills and the Adderall. And there was a time when I used to fake taking them, um, but I was forced to anyway. Oh my god, they should never be allowed to do that to kids ever. Um, and the fact that I could force myself to just stay still and stuff, apparently that's not, you're not supposed to be able to do something like that if you have ADHD. Or so I never understood. And when I did take the pills, I didn't know what it was, but I didn't like taking because I was like, this is not me. I feel like I'm not being me when I'm taking these pills. I feel like I'm not normal. I don't know what, but and that's how I always felt when I was younger. Take Being forced to take those pills. Um, to be honest, I was never doing anything that other kids were not. I may have been a little more distracted, but it's a kid, and I feel like I always had this assumption when I was younger that my teacher just thought I was being a little bit hyperactive, just being a kid. And then the fact that they can say something and that has me on medication for a lot of my life is just so terrible. So, you know, because I didn't notice a difference with the medicine, but I just felt like it was changing me. And when I was kind of off of it, I was like, I feel like I'm more observant. And when I was in middle school and teachers would call me observant, well, you're very observant. And I always knew that about myself, but I feel like I couldn't have been that way if I was on Adderall. And I didn't know, I couldn't tell the difference, but I just knew it was kind of changing me. And So I looked up, can you grow out of ADHD? And apparently the answer is no, which I don't believe. And I'll make another video about that because I don't know when science's theories became fact. You either don't have ADHD or you indeed can grow out of ADHD. It's either I grew out of ADHD or I never actually had it. And I was just diagnosed with that. So because I had ADHD and I went to a psychiatrist and I took Adderall and I went to therapy too. So I was going to therapy multiple times a month. Um, and I would see my psychiatrist once a month for so many years. And I know I would barely leave my psychiatrist's room without crying. I hated it that much. I would barely leave the room without crying. And I learned to just keep my legs still because even swinging them, they're like, oh, maybe you need some medication. Do you see how messed that up that is? Drug a kid till they're like still like a bean. And that's not normal. That is not normal. Just staying still like a bean. I don't know why I use bean, but um, that's what they wanted me to be. And I used to be very sensitive about it. I used to cry a lot. And I remember in sixth grade, someone was like, people with ADHD are stupid. And I wanted to speak up about it, but, I was like, they're not stupid. And, I never claimed, I never claim it. I'd be like, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, but I never claim it because I don't think I do, honestly. But it's whatever. I'm pretty sure it's just a misdiagnosis. And now that I know these things, I feel like it was definitely something different. So, in I was put in IEP because of that. I was mostly in the rooms with two teachers. But in fourth grade, I was taken out of IEP. And I did not need to be there. Even I knew I did not need to be there. I remember I would go to IEP and it would be like four kids, sometimes the three of us, plus the counselor. I also had a guidance counselor to go to. And there was like one very obvious kid that was slow, like maybe autistic or just slow in some way, and a girl who could barely speak English. That's why she was in there. Um, those are the two I really remember. But there was another person, and I don't really remember what their thing was. And then there was me. I have ADHD apparently. I don't know who the heck said I had ADHD or why they came to that conclusion. I don't know. um, but that was something. And in fourth grade, I remember they said, we're gonna throw you a party because you're not gonna be here anymore. I never got that party, but mm, and like that piece of party, but I was just simply taken out of it in fourth grade, and then there's the teacher who would take the kids that needed more time on their test out of the room, and I remember my two teachers were kind of arguing over me, like you don't need to go with her, you don't need to, and be like you could come with me, because I didn't need to be with the teacher who gave the kids extra time anymore. So I got the choice: do I want to stay with the like more advanced teacher or be in the other room? And I had never like really been. I wanted to know what the other teacher was like, so I stayed with her. And though if I wanted, I could still go to the room with extra time on the test. Um, I feel like it's very normal to look around a room when you're just there taking a test with a piece of paper. That feels like very normal for any kid to do. It's not normal to just sit somewhere and be like this for 3 hours straight, And that's more like abnormal than anything I could imagine. So that was my experience through elementary school. Now, middle school. In middle school, I was in the top class. Okay? Very small school, 80 students. My elementary school was small too, but it probably had like a little bit more. Element Middle school, I was in top classes, and they would switch you around in sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade to determine like your placements. Okay, it was like 6A, 6B, 6C, 7A, 7B, 7C, and 8A, 8B, 8C. I was in the A classes. And even teachers would tell us and tell us to be quiet about it, but we were in the more advanced class. We had a little bit of better scores. And it was obvious because people in the C class had IEP. They had people that would need like the counseling or whatever. I I have this vivid memory of needing it in like pre-K 2 or something. It was definitely pre-K. You know how you have multiple grades in pre-K? I wonder if that's how I'm remembering it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. And the person that would take me away, we would like play. It would just be playing. And that's what therapy was like too. So I've been in that like my whole life. So yes, it fits that I was diagnosed with it before 3 or at 3. That's a story if you want to know more about it, but it's there's a reason for that. I don't know the exact reason why I was diagnosed with it before 3, but I was. So yeah, and that's where I was in middle school. And I had friends that were with us in 6th grade, but were in the B class in 7th grade and stayed there in 8th grade. Some people, I don't know if people got into our class, but it would just be switched around that way. And if you were in the A class, you did not want to be moved to a B or C class. Which is like, obviously, it was a secret, but it was kind of not a secret. It's just like the A class is a bit better. That's what it was like. Yeah. So that was, and I joined a debate team in 7th grade. Middle school was the best years of my life. So obviously, I did not need to be there. That's why I was taken out of IEP in 4th grade. I was off of medication in 7th grade. Um, and I really wanted to stop taking it. And it was amazing when I didn't have to take those pills anymore. And I kind of maybe I feel like that maybe changed things a bit for me. But let me tell you about my personality shift throughout middle school. Um, so in the beginning of middle school, I was very like bold, brave, you know. You know how kids have these like roast battles? I was like into that. Um, but throughout 7th and 8th grade, I totally like calmed down. My personality became much calmer. And I was toned down and I was much calmer. Yeah, and going into 9th grade, I was like your average, didn't really I feel like as I got older, I grew into like my my fixed identity, the way I'm supposed to be. And getting into spirituality definitely did help me get to that more effectively. Like I'm not shy or anything, definitely not. I'm just saying that my I calmed down. And I had a bully. Oh my god. This one boy, he was so bad. And don't say like crusher. He was legit bad. He was bad. This is a big thing from middle school. So I would admire personalities and adopt traits that I admired from that person and like take them on. I remember writing in like my little diaries and journals that I was like, you remember what this girl was like when this guy interacted with her? And you notice how everyone's nice to her when she does this? And I noticed how everyone was paying, like, wanted to go to this girl for answers, how everyone was nice to this girl, how everyone defended this girl, how this girl had friends because she did this thing. And I would always take note of that and, like, adopt, like, traits so that I would get the same reaction. But honestly, I had a friend group, we were a friend group of 4. But we had a reputation of being weird. Mind you, it's small grade. So, oh, and out of all the kids in our grade, I was top 10. I was top 10. So, 80 kids, 80 something kids in our grade and I was top 10. So, obviously, I was taken out of IEP, top 10 in the A class. That tells you something. I was not struggling. Anyway, um and I would take on the like personality traits that I loved about people because I noticed how people react to them, and I would take that on. That was always something I was doing. And in 9th grade, I noticed how cool that was that I was doing that so young. And like I said, I had a reputation of being like weird. I don't know if I said that yet, but the friends I was with, we were all just like weird, odd kids, innocent. We were not popular. We were not cool. We were weird. Um,
Go, Mario! Go, Mario! Okay, and now. Three, two, one, go! Backstreet, sit so high, you will know me. Woo!
and I would be a little fake sometimes because there was a friend group that I wanted to be a part of. Um, and if anyone would like remember that from when I was younger, they know. But one girl, that scholarly girl, she was my debate partner. Uh, and we also went to the same elementary school. So, and she even now today, like people don't really know her, but she's in Harvard right now. Yep, she was that smart, and she was the one that everyone would go to, um, for like answers. Be like, ask knows, and I want it to be seen like that too. The way this girl, there was another girl who was a part of this group. She was so nice, and so kind, and kind to the point where people could take advantage of her, but they wouldn't. And they treated her very kindly because she would kind of let people do whatever. And I was like, okay, because I was more standing my ground, like, no, you can't just do that. But I became more lenient because I wanted to be treated that way too. Everyone's always on her side. She was a good dancer. And then there was another girl, kind of annoying to me. She was annoying. But I noticed that she had these people in her friend group because she was always around them, always bringing them gifts. She bought their friendship. And I was like, okay, gift giving. You notice all these things I noticed? So I did not, it had a high school. It was a really great school, but I did not stay there for high school because I wanted to rebuild my brand. I wanted to take in everything I learned from middle school and apply it in high school. And I indeed, she was an overachiever. I became an overachiever. Um, a project, obviously, I wouldn't like copy them. No, but now I'm in a huge high school, totally different environment. Would never do that again. But I never would have known had I not experienced it, even though nothing in high school was worth it. um, I became that overachiever. I became that ex Selena. Selena, can you? Obviously, there were just some things that I'm not perfect at, but I definitely became that person. um, a kind person, though, because of quarantine and like my shift that happened after I was 15, I became a little more withdrawn. I just became, I became a personality. I became a unique, you know, I became something quite unique. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely adopted those personalities and they benefited me in high school. Um, so that's what my freshman year looked like, you know? Uh, and then we had to go home in freshman year. And then we stayed there until it was time to go back to school in junior year. Can you imagine that? Freshman to junior year? And that's when my like mind changed, kind of. And so yeah, in middle school I was a very observant child and I noticed how aware I was. And more like when I got older, I realized what I was doing when I was younger that I was like so impressive. I was like, wow, people don't normally do that. 15, when I was at home, I got into spirituality and I was so comfortable at home. And I found out about maladaptive daydreaming, and that was like the last time I had uh, a vivid lucid dream. That was the last time too. And I figured that was maybe because I had stopped taking medication. Maybe I figured, is there a connection between the fact that I had these dreams? That's a whole different thing, guys. Like, my sleep paralysis nightmares that I had when I was younger, almost every day in elementary school, please, that's a whole nother story. And I can go into so many reasons of why I don't get dreams anymore, why I don't remember them like I used to. But I feel like once I found about maladaptive daydreaming and that I was doing it, I no longer had the vivid lucid dreams. So I'm like, can't I have both? Because they were an amazing experience. Not the nightmares, because it was sleep paralysis. Like, people are normally stuck with their eyes open, but I was stuck in a nightmare. Oh, that's way worse. Come on. Like, oh gosh, dreams, scary nightmares. They're like the most vilest things ever. Like, how could I possibly imagine something so scary? The atmosphere, everything so scary about it. And I really want to do that again, but I don't know if I'm willing to go through the nightmares anymore. I feel like when I was 12, they kind of like really, the nightmares completely like kind of stopped, and then I would get like good, normal, very vivid dreams that I remember so lucid. And they kind of dissipated over the years. And after 15, I never got another one. Sucks. So yeah, there are many reasons I can probably figure, but I don't know the exact reason. I don't know why. I would really like someone to study my brain one day. I really do. Um, so yeah, 15, got into spirituality, found out I was a maladaptive daydreamer, got into, my imagination, my mind. Uh, I started talking about my future. That's when I started having intuitive insights. And, the rest is history. I spiraled into this like hole of learning about myself and writing and learning about intuitive insights and these feelings I would get. And, up until now, 18. And I'm still learning something new every single day. Um, these are one of my journals. It's 360 something pages, like 700, so 700 in all because you have front and back. I finished this in 3 months. Yeah. And it's done, so I have to wait until I get a new one. And until I get a new one, I'm gonna be focusing on my YouTube channel and just talking about it on video. So yeah, after 15, I had this changed mentality where I became aware of how aware I was. I was hyper aware of everything, always in my mind. Um, I'll give you like a little rundown, but I do have videos on it already where um, there was a very bad time where I was going through like psychosis and I was very neurotic because of like overstimulating environments. And around this time, I learned so much more about myself. I noticed flaws in a lot of the teachers. I didn't want to be taught by them. I didn't want to listen to them because they were just so wrong. I just noticed a lot of that and noises and it's crazy. So I definitely noticed a low latent inhibition. Obviously, I think you'll notice it much better if you're in like a really bad environment and you go to like search up why things are this way. Why am I feeling this way? Why, like, because it's so mentally damaging. Yeah, to be in very uncomfortable bad environments. My one goal in life, my main goal, is to just be comfortable in every single aspect of my life. Never have to worry about a thing. And I'm willing to work hard and stuff, but I just want to be comfortable always. Know that things are going to be alright. So, yeah. That was my. I feel like I could delve more into what low latent inhibition was like. After 15, I became much more withdrawn from people. I couldn't really tolerate people as much as I was able to. Um, and that's just because of a bad environment. I feel like low latent inhibition for me in a good environment, but it comes from there's this knowing that I always have about certain things. I say that my superpower is to have the answer to any question that I ask myself. And I just learned a lot more about my mind. I already have videos where I talk more in depth about the low latent inhibition, but this was my K through 12 experience and with it because when I'm younger, I'm sure that could have been what it was, but obviously it's matching your age and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I was misdiagnosed with ADHD, or maybe it could be just a form of it. I think that there's a lot to learn when it comes to things like low latent inhibition, sensory gating, uh, ADHD, all these other things, curiosity, creativity, because I feel like it can, the amount of intellect someone has, because I feel like it could all be put into like this one thing. Asperger's, autism, a mild, you know, all of it, I feel like can be narrowed down. The fact that you are probably a maladaptive daydreamer, very vivid imagination, you know, seriously, it's all so connected. Um, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.